Hey, good afternoon. Happy Mercury retrograde. We got a couple days before it actually starts on the 29th, which is Saturday, and it goes until June 22nd. So it's retrograding in Gemini, and Mercury tends to retrograde well, he does retrograde 3 times a year for approximately 3 weeks, and it tends to stay in the same element for each solar year. So this year of 2021, he's retrograding in the element of air. And so the Gemini energy is the twin. So it's a human sign. All of the air signs are connected or take us out of or elevate us from our animal nature. Gemini are the twins, there's a human side there. Aquarius is the water bearer, and then Libra is the scales in the circle of animals called the zodiac, also known as zodiac. Zodiac, zoological, you get it. And so, what does it mean? Don't buy, don't sell. Yeah, you can get that technical about it. Do you need that object? Do you need that extension of your mind? The new computer, the new machinery, the new car, or whatever it may end up being. Can you wait? Well, that is a question, but the point of waiting is also about pausing, reflecting upon the intention behind your communication. And since sound travels through the air, and Mercury's spending these 10 weeks in Gemini, he got there in, let's see, he went into Gemini on May the 3rd, and he'll be there until July the 11th, 12th. So basically, what this means is that we're all being called to understand the intention behind our communication, which is all Mercury retrogrades. But because Gemini is the sign of specific questions, the reporter, the lawyer, the insurance claims adjuster, the detective, Gemini is delineating those facts: who, what, why, when, where, and how. Okay? Opposite sign of Sagittarius as we get into those intuitive leaps, those what we believe or perceive to be about the communication, because it's a fire sign. But air is about the intellect and logic. Now that doesn't mean that we don't have feelings. It just means that we pause, think about it, communicate, gather the information. And of course, it's more difficult on the Mercury ruled people: Gemini, Virgo risings and moons. And if you have a moon in a Mercury ruled sign, then 3 times a year you go through a reflective energy around your instincts of attempting to merge the body and mind together. And then conversely, sign Aquarius would be affected because it's an air sign that tends to be very mercurial. Libra tends to be more, again, the scales. It just depends on the Libra's chart. But the important thing to understand is that the Gemini Virgo, the risings, the moon, and the sun. So it's your rising is your approach is being questioned during the Mercury retrograde. The sun sign, your consciousness, which is different than your character or even somewhat of your ego. Because the consciousness is where you respond to situations as you meet them. And the more conscious you are, the more you can still use astrology and different divinatory systems. But when you're whole in yourself, then your future doesn't really happen until you get to that point in time and space. So there can be a lot of variables that shift the manifestation of what you're attempting to create. So that's why, Tavish and I are doing this. One of the reasons we are so psyched about our raw materials is that we're balancing the ego and the soul, our identity, which tends to be initially our ego is reactionary based on predictability and character. But as we lighten up and come into an awareness of a larger integrated picture of how everything's interconnected, i.e., the soul, then we move the retrogrades. We kind of laugh at ourselves because there is this aspect of Mercury as trickster that you'll put on one of your favorite shirts or blouses or whatever, and then you'll eat something and get on it. So there's a part of the Mercury and even the Mercury in Gemini that's that trickster, let's not get too caught up in the Maya or the illusion of physical appearances. Does that mean you don't buy the car or buy whatever? I just tend to think if you are going, if you have to, get the extended warranty. If you're starting a new job, think about the different things that can be renegotiated when Mercury goes retrograde in September, or even a little bit before then. But do realize that there's a temporary aspect to whatever, because Mercury's connected to the workplace, through his rulership of Virgo, but also understand that you want to learn these rules in order to be able to observe the rules while Mercury's in retrograde, understanding the motivations and the intention behind your communication and your tone, and be willing to admit to what you may not know. Because a lot of times we want to fake it until we make it or appear that we know. And Mercury's like, is not having it. It's much better to ask for directions than to wander around lost. This is Quan out. Thanks for listening. And ourrawmaterials.com, beliefisnotrequired.com. Appreciate you.